What's up, and welcome to Modern Toy Fair's top 10 listicle videos. That's right, I call it listicle because I am running the show, so I get to make the rules. I am your host, the founder of the Neck Illuminati, the YouTube wife, the Mrs. Mr. or Mrs. Modern Toy Fair, Jamar Games. Whew, I am rusty. I haven't hosted something in a very, very, very long time. But, anyways, enough with that. Today, I am here to show you my personal top 10 Playmates list. That doesn't make sense. Basically, what I'm doing is giving you the definitive list of Michelangelo toys from 88 to 97. I'm sticking straight to the original line. All Playmate figures here, some amazing and cool things, some most of which I have my hands on, and just one that is kind of slipping through my fingers here. But I just wanted to kind of put this list together, let you guys know what is the greatest Michelangelo figures. This is I guess we'll call this a mini series. It's a little bit different than the other top 10 lists because I'm sticking with a theme all the way through until I finish with all the four turtles, and then we'll see what I'll do from there. So don't miss out. Keep peeled. Make sure you subscribe so you can figure out where the other turtles lie. Also, this will be fun. If you have any kind of debate, I don't care. No, I'm joking. Let me know in the comments below and we'll have some fun of this, possibly. Think I should probably just get started, right? So we have top 10. I'm going to start from the very bottom. And I'm going to work my way up to the top to the most covenant Michelangelo figure from the Playmates line. Now, number 10 is a very weird one. I don't know how I want to do this. If I want to give an explanation of why it is number 10 or why it's on the list or whatnot, well, we'll just start out with the first guy. First one is Farmer Mikey. This one is on my list partly because it is so weird and so odd that it had to be on the top 10. When I was actually making the list originally, it was just going to be all turtles, and I was just going to try and mix them all together. And I kept looking at this figure, and every time I look at it, I chuckle. It's a Ninja Turtle in overalls, denim overalls, mind you, with a little handkerchief and a cool little hat. I don't know if this is being picked up on camera very well, but I really, really hope you can see this. I believe Michael is behind behind the scenes. He's gonna put a photo up there even bigger so you can tell even more. But this figure is so cool. Partly it came with a tractor, which was really awesome. So you had like the vehicle aspect of it as well. But again, he's a farmer. He has a white tee and overalls on. So like this is just amazing to me. This one I have a really good version of, but someone took a bite out of the hat. So that seems to happen a lot with a lot of my figures. But yeah, that's number 10. No debate so far, right? Only that maybe he could be a little bit higher. Um, number 9. Number 9 is an interesting one because although it isn't a turtle per se, it is a turtle, but it's a turtle inside of a turtle. And this is the Robotation figures. This one is, of course, Mikey. I feel we're saying this each time, but this is like your Avatar, like fighting, the big machines that fought the Avatar, blue people. I don't know. Some people say that movie's good. I honestly can't even remember anything of it other than they had these cool robots. But this thing here specifically to me was really cool. This one I had as a kid, and one of the things that I normally did was I lost the turtle in the inside. So once I was an adult and I purchased this with my own money, I actually have the turtle here. So I can pull him out. Riveting. I hope this is an audio podcast as well because this is going to be so great. But you get this wee little baby turtle inside here, and it goes inside a giant mech. And these were cool mainly because it was sort of like a transformer in a sense, but not a transformer. But I liked this so much as a kid because it's robots. This came out much later in the line of like the Playmate stuff, but this one was so cool to me. It was really neat. That's all I really have. I don't know. Is that cool enough for you to be number 9? Um, so we have Farmer, we have Mech Suit, this Robotation. Number 8 on the list. It's sad. Number 8 is the Sumo Turtles. It's a part of the Sumo Turtles. There's only 2. There's Michelangelo and Raph, I believe. Yes, Michelangelo and Raph. I have been trying since I've been collecting turtles to get my hands on these figures. Honestly, if I had the physical character in my hand, it would probably be much higher on the list. But I haven't actually gotten my hands on it. But the one thing that's really cool and one thing that you can tell as we get higher in the list is a lot of the turtles that I really gravitate to with Playmates designs are ones who took the idea of this is the turtle and they just threw a crazy idea out there. What if they're sumo wrestlers instead of ninjas? But now they changed the entire design of the turtle, and it really embodies like what they were going for as the character there. And that was something I thought that Playmates did in a like so creatively compared to like other lines, or at least to my kid dumb brain. It was just like amazing to see these figures this way. And so the Sumo Turtles are like my favorite. I'm putting it on the top 10 at 8 only just because I can't get one for less than like $100. Also, there's a really cool thing. I think it shows in the photo that should be popping up for you guys. They have the little cool hair that sticks up on there. I've seen a couple float around for like a decent price, but it's missing the hair. So I feel like if I'm gonna spend a lot of money on it, I want to get the whole thing together. But one of these days, maybe I'll do an updated top 10 list for in the future. I don't know why I would do that, but maybe I'll have the Sumo Turtle. So I'm just putting it out there, good vibes and fingers crossed. But yeah, top 10 Sumo Turtle, definitely an amazing one. I hope this is getting more eyes on here, and maybe someone in the comments will say, "Hey, I have this in my basement. You can have it for free," and then which I would be extremely happy. But until then, we can move to number 7. I feel like I'm going pretty fast through this list, but we'll see. Number 7 is quite honestly another mech, but in a different way. So there's a part of the Cyber Samurai line. They didn't really have cool names for the turtles. It was just Cyber Samurai, Mikey, Cyber Samurai, Donatello, so forth. So all of them kind of look the same, but I had to have one on the list. And I went with Mikey specifically because oddly enough, he has the coolest colors. And not because he's orange, but because it's gold and purple. And this is probably one of the most odd looking things. Like, I love the idea of taking the Ninja Turtles and thinking outside of the box. So, last one I said sumo wrestler, right? What if they were cyber samurais? I don't exactly know how this looks like a cyber samurai. It looks definitely like a cyborg, I guess, but I don't really get the direction. All I know is they just made a really cool figure. This is something else that's actually really, really specific that is near and dear to my heart for most of these Playmate figures is that they all have like actions and stuff, right? So as you can guess, or if you can look at these here, the fist here actually pop off. So I'm gonna just do this on camera. Hopefully I don't lose this. Okay, maybe I'm not gonna do this on camera. Let's try this arm. There we go. So the fists pop out. And this is actually one of the funniest things. I was looking up the photos to give to Michael so you can see most of them are fistless because as a kid, you're playing with the toy where you shouldn't be, or you're messing around with like a sibling or something like that. You shoot it, you lose it forever, and it's gone. So this is cool to have this with the actual hands on there. But man, this is so cool. I'm also missing out on telling you the best part about this figure. You pop off this front here. Look at that. So cool. If I can get a little bit closer for you, that's awesome. But yeah, I like anything gold, metallic, and whatnot. So this had to be on my list. Again, another great Michelangelo figure. And some of people watching this who know who I am know that I love Donatello. That's just hands down my favorite figure. But going through this whole little exercise, I said, I think Michelangelo had some of the coolest figures. And it's kind of blowing me away. So I'm interested to do, I think second on the list, a little nugget to keep you hooked. I think I'm gonna do Raphael because I think he was one of the hardest ones to come up with. So I think it'll be fun to like try and pick out ones that I think are the best, but we'll see. Enough with that. Let's go on to number 6. So we're getting close to the top 5 here. Number 6, This is actually a tough one for me because I thought this was gonna be so much higher on my list when I initially thought of sticking to a specific turtle. Um, but this one here, which we actually just saw a recent re-release, and if you've been watching and tuning in live on Wednesdays, you see that I just purchased that the same figure but new on our weekly purchase show every Wednesday at twitch.tv/ Modern Toy Fair. Look at that. I remembered kind of. But this one here is Frankenstein. Basically, it's Michelangelo as Frankenstein. So much like the new Universal figures, a little bit different, even though this one's Raphael, this guy is Frankenstein, and it's the cool dude Mikey as and it just every time you look at this figure, the detailing on these things here, and this is where we start to get into like some of my favorite things about Playmates is their attention to detail, such as like the torn jeans on the side with stitching for his skin. Inside here, if you can get pretty close to the camera, I don't think you could pick that up, but he also has the bolt sticking out of his neck, flat top for the head, cool tear on the back here. Again, showing exposing some of the shell. Like it was just amazing the detailing that they got out of these just simple figures. And I think that's to be appreciated. And much like a lot of the, toys in this era, these were very, very um very, very well done, which is why I've always had a love-hate with, like, Playmates, especially in the more recent years. But yeah, a great one. You're gonna see a lot of Universal monsters throughout this series just because those were probably one of the coolest crossovers that the Turtles did back with Playmates, so, of course, you're gonna see some, or maybe you won't see some. That's a little teaser, so if you can guess what's potentially high on my list, I don't know if you're that smart or not. I'm joking. So for number 5, this is starting to be on the top 10. This is our top 5 Ninja Turtle figures that are Michelangelo from Playmates, and on the list at top 5, I have the Crazy Clownin' Mikey. This is a part of like the Bodacious Birthday line, which they came with just the 3 turtles. You had Raphael, Leonardo, and then Michelangelo. They left your boy Donatello out of here, but they knocked this clown figure so far out of the park that I'm not even mad that Donatello didn't get any love. You have these telescopic legs, so you can go to a little short or pop it out, go to long. That's a cool little action thing that I really enjoy with that. It did have some suspenders on there. Mine sadly doesn't have those, but this again takes you back to what I said earlier, is taking the turtle and changing the design so much. So I'm assuming this line was very expensive for Playmates, but I'm sure they were making money hands over fist. But every figure had a distinct like molding to it. So you never really saw much like reuse or recoloring or anything like that. And that kind of spoiled me. I think it's changed the way I look at figures a lot now, and I get a little grumpy when I see the same thing over and over. Which again, Playmates, why you keep doing that to us? But yeah, birthday. The Bodash's birthday was actually cool idea of like on the card you could write down like to Johnny or to Billy, and it was like your birthday gift was this figure on the card. That was really cool. So I don't have the card for this one, but again, just another great figure, detailing, color, everything. Just so good. I don't understand how there's just not on top right now because the amount of amazing work they have done just still makes me so happy. Um, Now it's time to get serious. We have 4 turtles left. So the heat's got to come out. Like we got to come out with straight fire now. And man, one of the things that will distinctly set the 90s apart from a lot of different generations. Well, I think it shared a lot of this with with the 80s as well, but was neon. And when I say neon, as a kid in the 90s, if it had a cool bright color, it was instantly my favorite thing. Just instantly. And another thing in the 90s that was extremely huge was wrestling. So they took a turtle gave you some neon colors, some wrestling aspect, and just blew this figure out of the water. So I have this shell slamming Michelangelo. This figure was a part of the sports line where you got a few other sports, but this is how 90s this is. Wrestling, and I'm sorry, they're counting that as like sport with like basketball, football, soccer. It's just crazy to me that, like, I saw this figure, didn't even bat an eye, didn't even think about it. It wasn't until I got older and became a dick and was like, "Yeah, that's not a sport," but, everybody's athletic in certain rights, but let's go to the figure while I'm telling you my personal beliefs. So, first, you got a cape, which is amazing, but the highlight of this here, after you take off his championship belt, which I'm surprised I still have this, to be quite honest with you, you get this amazing unitar with this pink, like, this just screams I'm a badass in the 90s. So if you didn't grow up in the 90s and you're confused what I'm talking about, just think of things like rollerblading, skateboarding. It was all like edgy. And yes, neon pink was edgy, even though you may believe otherwise. But this figure was so cool because I also like the color contrast of, obviously, the turtles are green, but you have the orange, you have the pink, and then you have this yellow right here on his like ripped shorts that just make things so awesome. Now, Jamar, you mentioned before that you like action out of your turtles. That's one has it. So what you do is you bend his legs over, and he has this like pop action. And I don't know if I can do this without being on the table, but his legs will kind of kick out, and it's supposed to be kind of like a flip in a sense. This one's old and kind of sticky joint, so it's not going to do that. But that was just so cool because, again, definitive list, maybe not, but for Jamar, this figure was so extremely cool, so extremely popular just to me, just because of what I was into and what I was collecting at that time. So I had to have this up high. It's some real special figures that have only taken the throne from this one here as I try to get this belt back on here properly so I don't break it. This one I have a couple versions of. I think this actually they had one with a different color, a leotard, I believe so, or unitard. But this one just is the definitive version for me. So I'm gonna sit that guy over there. And oh boy, number three. So what I was gonna do initially is just not even put them in any kind of order. I was just gonna just throw them all out there. But then one of the figures that I thought was like, okay, this one, top tier, nothing's gonna be better than it. And then there's another one that I picked up and was like, these are some of the best things that Playmate made throughout the entire line, and I had to show it off. So this one got bumped up on the list for sure because it hits all of my major important things, minus the neon. So I have the pizza tossing, I'll say it again, Michelangelo. No special name for it, but this thing here is probably one of the craziest looking things. So everyone knows the Ninja Turtles like pizza. Michelangelo looks like he is a pizza fiend, and I wish my camera would pick this up. Let's see. Kind of not, but he has this insane look, extremely bugged eyed. He looks like mentally unstable, which is cool because he has a giant pizza that shoots out pizza. In the back of the figure here, you have this little pouch, I guess is what I would call it, that you could pop out the little pizza disc, insert him to his back here, and then you can pull his arm back and an action and it shoots out pizza. Like, what is this? A lot of the toys that I had were like torture mechanisms for like me teasing my little brother, and this was one of them. Just popping out the turtles. This is so cool. Also, the packaging that these things came in was so big. This is obviously not my original figure, but these are one of the ones that I got for my birthday, and I just thought this was like the craziest, insane thing. And this here screams 90s. So aggressive, so big, just awesome. Also, another little detail about this figure that I don't think many of the turtle figures had is if you flipped him around on his hind side, he has a tail. And a lot of the turtle figures exclude the fact that they have a tail for most reasons. Obvious that just kind of is weird. But this one here was so like egregious. They added the tail in there. There's no articulation on it, but who cares? Amazing figure. I again, it's just so cool. To me, one of the this is one of the same things of like not necessarily changing the full design of like the turtle, but this straight up looks like the original turtle with the belt and everything. And they just threw on a piece of shooter, gave him steroids, which again, that's a 90s thing, and like just beefed him out. Like, this is so cool. One of my prized possessions as just as far as my turtle collection goes. I love this thing. Also, draw more attention to the pizza sticking out of the side of his mouth as if it was a giant cigar. Like it's just so cool. Like again, I don't understand. Playmates, you guys absolutely just killed it all the way up until like I don't know, 2000s. um Another figure here. This is number 2. I love Ninja Turtles, right? Like the figures before, the slamming or the shell slamming Michelangelo, the wrestling figure. If you forgot already, it combined one of my big loves of you know wrestling with a Ninja Turtle. The '90s, like hip hop, everything. Like this is basically Flavor Flav, but a Ninja Turtle, and you just have this street urban turtle, which to me just screams like amazing. The design. Let's just go into like the detail here. I don't want to get too crazy about it, but you have, of course, the iconic gold clock hanging from his neck, like the one Flavor Flav. You got the cool glasses. He has a record player. Now, for kids who are maybe watching this and like, what is that? Is that not just like a CD player? No, this is a full-on record player on his hip, and around the back, he has two speakers just in his into his shell. That's just so awesome. He has a gold M on his belt buckle, and it also has purple lettering, which is just a bonus. But then what sets it off is the neon color shoes. This again, just embodying the 90s hip hop culture, just embodying like the 90s in general. You have to top it off though with the most sweetest touch to this figure. I don't know who was in making this figure. They were just killing it. But he has Mike raps. Like this was like the precursor to like actually having Go Ninja, which was, like the rap song of Vanilla Ice. That ruined the thought of this figure for me. But this was what I thought was so cool at that time. Just thinking of like the Ninja Turtles just being cool no matter what. And man, that's just like so awesome to me. I don't really have any description words to describe that. But another thing that was really cool is Yo Rap. So which is Yo MTV Raps. That's kind of I'm assuming is a nod to that, which was a really cool channel when MTV used to play music videos, which was really cool. But overall, just a great figure. Go Chain again. It's just cool. This here reminds me of one of like a movie which was it's called White Man Can't Jump, starring Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson. And in this, if you watch that movie, you kind of will understand the vibe of this character just because of how like 90s it was. So I would just take a second and just check that out. You'll get exactly what I mean from there. So this was always and this will always be so high on my list no matter what, just because of how cool like it was to see the turtles taking something of a culture thing that I was into and making a turtle of it. And not being like afraid to actually embrace that like side. So this was a time I guess when the turtles were basically like they could literally do anything and people would be okay with it. And I don't know if we really have a phenomenon like that now. I guess it would be sort of like the MCU, where like people can't see them doing anything wrong. I don't know, but the turtles were just so great and so fabulous. And man, it makes me sad because now I'm about to be done talking about turtle figures for the night. But it also makes me happy to show you my number one turtle. And if you're fans of the Playmates figures and you're thinking about all the turtles that Michelangelo had or all the figures that he had, there's one that's missing on my list, and you probably couldn't see it for multiple reasons. Another wink and a nod there. But to me, this just tells like anytime someone asks me about what turtle, like I collect Ninja Turtles and they say, "Oh, what do you have?" This figure always gets brought up every single time. And the majority of the reason for it, it's not like the most intricate figure. It doesn't do something like absolutely amazing as far as cool actions or anything like that. It's just straight down to the design for me that like I mean, I'm sure other play like toy lines did this, but it took something that was just so mind-blowing to me at that time and still mind-blowing to me to this day. It I'm just gonna show you the figure. Okay, so the number one figure on my top 10 list, the definitive Michelangelo list for top 10 figures, is the Invisible Man Universal Monster Michelangelo. This figure here is absolutely fabulous. And the reason why it's absolutely fabulous, you're like, well, Jamar, it's just Michelangelo. He's wearing some like suit that's kind of torn with his tie all loose, and he has a jacket on. But and I kick myself now because I didn't grab the pieces out of my accessory bag. But first, he has the wrappings around his head, and you can snap it on there, just like the helmet, right? So you have that. But then when you crack that open, you have this translucent like molding on the face, the hands, and the foot. And to me, it still stands the test of time that this is one of the coolest things that I have ever seen. I'm sure there's probably some, you know, cool Fantastic Four figures with like the Invisible Girl that's doing cool things like that. But for me, this figure here is why like I love the Playmates line. Because the idea that they saw an issue or they saw something like, hey, we're gonna do tackle the universal monsters. How are we gonna do the Invisible Man? We're just gonna make it translucent. And I don't think this was probably an easy thing. It may not even necessarily been difficult, but the fact that they were so acute to the details of this figure that they did the translucent like molding, I will forever love the Playmates original line just off of the strength of this figure alone. Of course, there's hundreds of others that I love as well, but this one here just takes a cake for me, and it kind of is what actually got me excited about some of the NECA stuff as well. It's just because NECA seems to have that same like attention to detail when they're doing these figure things. And it basically just shows that there was like a passion for these figures. And that's the goal with all of these figures that I just showed you, is that there was some kind of passion behind it. And that's honestly one of the things that you can tell that a figure has that love, that care, and it kind of translates to you when you purchase it and you own it. You can see that, so then I feel like kind of grow that same bond with this figure. And I'm saying this in 1,000 different ways that I absolutely adore the Invisible Man figure. And with a lot of the updated lines, a lot of things like a lot of figures that are getting updated from Playmates and NECA even doing the Universal Monster, or not Playmates, from Super 7, I'm really hoping that I can get something like this in a new like 2020 or 2028 in this matter because of how toys are now, like, version of this figure. Because again, this is something that, like, if someone asked me, "Hey, you have Ninja Turtles, what's one of your favorite figures?" This is always on the list, always. And, it only made sense for this to be number 1. This may be number 1 figure of all, and then maybe that's what I'll do at the end of all of these other Turtles. I think I might go back and just pick a top 10 of all of the turtles together. So we'll see how that would work out. But man, I can't say this enough, but I adore this figure so much, and this will always be number one for Michelangelo figures. I do want to throw an honorable mention slash spoilers. There is another Playmates figure that I almost included into this line for this specific character. And if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Let me know in the comments below if you can guess what character I'm referring to that is making a supply or not surprise release, but making a release sometime soon from Playmates in the same size, but a pretty cool one. It some would say it might even be their last figure. So try and figure that out there. But that's it. That's what I have for my top 10. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, it's been a long time since I've been talking to a camera on my own. So I hope this was somewhat like palpable at all. But I'm really curious to know what you guys believe, like see in your in the comments of what you feel about some of these figures. Have you seen them before? Are these like the first time you ever seen these figures? Do you think they're all ugly? Do you have some that you think are better than the ones that I have? Let me know in the comments. Michael, Nate, and myself, we're probably going to keep doing these top 10s because it seems like you guys enjoy them. Of course, I was the one that was like, I don't feel like doing this, but it's actually really enjoyable to put this together once I actually get up and stop being lazy. So we'll try and keep these out like a new one every month. So again, stay pilled, like definitely subscribe to the channel. Obviously, it would be smart for you to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and of course TikTok at Modern Toy Fair. But of course, like I mentioned earlier, Wednesday nights at 10 we do our weekly purchases so you can see some of the cool things that are coming out that are turtle related and also my other new passion and love for nendoroids, which will be a top 10 list for sure coming out soon. But all of the links and everything are going to be in the or underneath this video. So if you're like me who can't remember that or don't feel like typing, you can go down there, just click on it, and it'll take you right over there. But I think that's all. So I will see you guys next week and next top 10 list. The same toy time, same toy fair channel. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy this. Bye bye.